What's up, guys? It's Eventon here. So I really wanted to make this video because the other day I was a bit bored and I wanted to do some ESS running, but it's very hard to do the stuff solo and actually be able to fight anything on grid when you're actually in the ESS site. So I talked to some of my core mates and I had the idea of just, why not just run ESS sites, but with an overpropped cruiser and just basically avoid fighting at all costs. And you would actually be pretty surprised how many ESS out there are just completely undefended. But then again, there are some regions of space where people guard their ESS sites, especially when it gets, I would say, north of like 30 mil. They really defend their ESS very aggressively. So as you can see here, I just use a normal yeet filament, end up out here in Panda Land, and there are so many good ESS spots out here. I didn't really know what to do, so I guess I just queued up all of them, clicked on that little optimized route, which is a really handy tool if you guys are trying to hit up various systems out in like a certain region and you're just not sure what the most optimized route is. You can hit that little A button, click optimize route, and it'll give you the shortest route possible in order to hit all of those systems. So here, this is my very first run ever. Immediately I get challenged by some Ishtars. I think I really underestimated my speed on here. I was not going fast enough, but then again, I forgot to take my little speed booster. I did not overheat my Afterburner at all. I activated my stuff. Basically, long story short, it was very, very sloppy. And as you can see, I'm on the very, very edge of that bubble, but still aren't able to warp. So I ended up making a lot of mistakes here. And because of this, I ended up changing my fit as well, because even though the Ishtars were using sentries, I guess I could have tried to get some transversal or whatever, but the Ishtars alone with some of their bonuses, their sentries pretty much always hit, especially if you're out to that distance of 60 to 70 kilometers. So what do? I just buy another stabber, change the fit slightly. So instead of running a micro warp drive, which I thought would be useful prior, because just in case we get caught in a gate or like in a bubble camp, we could just go back and crash the gate really quickly. But we can actually kind of mimic that speed anyway by just overheating our Afterburner and crashing the gate, which I think actually might be better than running a 50 MN micro warp drive. So I end up replacing the micro warp drive with the shield extender, just so we have a bit more tank in case we do get caught, like you shown from those Ishtars. And this is pretty much the typical ESS banks that I was hacking, and the amounts that I would say most nullsec regions kind of just leave alone, because a lot of these times it seems like there's these huge waves of ratting fleets that just will kill everything in one site or one system, maybe clear all the havens, and they just move to the next system, and they just kind of just leave it alone behind them, because sometimes 20 mil or 15 mil is just not worth defending. So as you can see here, we're just in a system completely undefended. We ended up hacking this site and ended up scoring us an additional 20 mil. And it takes 6 minutes in order for us to successfully complete the hack. And sometimes you actually get lucky and find some goodies in the site as well. I didn't care to pick up the ECM drones, so these were like the medium Vespa ECM drones, but there were some Hammerhead 2s, and I believe each of those are running for about 800,000 ISK, so almost a million each. So I went around and started scooping them, but you have to be very careful because you have to be within 10 kilometers of the little hacking node in the middle of the site or the ESS in order to not break the link. Because if you go outside of 10 kilometers, you will break the link of that, and you have to restart the hack again the whole 6 minutes. So here, this is me just jumping around. I found a really, really good ESS here in the system over. But I see 3 in local, and that seems to be a bit too hairy for me. Maybe I'm just having bad flashbacks of when I got killed by those 2 Ishtars in local, and I was just way too late reacting to that. So, and then there's 4 others in local, so I was like, you know what, just forget it. I'm just going to keep moving. The whole point of this fit is just to keep moving and keep going and try to find those sites that either have 0 or just 1 person in local. So again, this is me actually hacking a 24 mil ESS. So here I am just hacking it, jumping in. And I really like the look of the ESS little node whenever you successfully complete the hack. It actually does this big, cool burst animation. And just as a reminder, when you do successfully hack these sites, it doesn't like immediately go in your wallet or anything like that. It puts these little like tickets or these ISK notes into your cargo. So you actually do need to extract yourself out of nullsec eventually, which is why I also run a set of the exit as well as the entry filaments into trick space. So you do need to, I'll put those down in the description as well, because I try to put them in the fit of this stabber, and it just simply didn't work. It wouldn't like save it into the fit or anything like that. So I'll just go ahead and put those down in the description so you guys know which filaments to grab. So this is just me just showing a series of ESS ones that I'm successfully hacking, and sometimes you get very lucky. I did this about 5 or 6 times. Sometimes you get very lucky where you find a series of like 3 or 4 systems all back to back with anywhere between like 15 to 25 mil, and you just hit them all back to back and you never get contested at all whatsoever. Other times you will get contested, like you saw with those Ishtars, or in this case. I started this hack because just next door there was a system that had a pretty big ESS of like 50 mil or something like that, but I just ended up just jumping through and leaving. And I get here, and so there's one person in local. The person that spots me actually ends up leaving eventually, but the guy who jumped in second starts coming in after me. And I took my drug here early, so I'm kind of learning my lesson from last time to remember just take my drugs early. And if you have biology 5, it should last an hour, which is a long time. And I try to position myself as on the edge or as far as I can away from the ESS surveillance thing. So that way, if I do need to run, I'm at the edge as possible and not at the landing point. I try to also find something to align to as I'm burning out to make it as easy as possible. But occasionally you will get bad luck if there's nothing to align to on the other side. Now, this is where it can get scary. I was descanning nonstop during this whole time. And these ships can sneak up on you. So these recon ships that cannot be detected by descan, they can sneak up on you and grab you. Luckily, it was just a Rook, but immediately I deploy my my ECM drones. I immediately lock the Rook, put it on the ship. So if he did have a lock on me or anything like that, he won't be able to harm me anymore, or be able to like drop the lock so I can escape quickly. So these ships are scary. In my opinion, probably the scariest one is the Hugin, because they can like basically double or triple web you, making it extremely slow, which is actually why in my expanded probe launcher, which I had from the very beginning, you can actually run combat probes. So that was another thing you could possibly do, is that if there is someone in local and you feel like they're just not making a move or something weird is happening, you can actually just you can drop combat probes on top of yourself, maybe spread the radius out to like 1 or 2 AU and just keep scanning over and over and over again. Because these recon ships that can't be found on DScan, they just sneak up on you just like that. And if it is something like a Hugin or a different ship that can slow you down, it can be pretty scary. So that is another out or way to detect it as well. If you are jumping into a big jump system like that, you can see on the map there was like a very, very long distance between those two systems. There was a massive ESS on the other side. I'm talking 500 million. You'll see here on the other side, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna hack this. But sure enough, this is just a very heavily camped spot. So there's 26 people local. They've probably been all logging in and heavily ratting that area for the last 4 hours. You can see the payout is actually happening in like less than 8 minutes, 7 minutes. So there's just been some heavy ratting going on here the last like 4 hours. And there's someone in local who gave me very obscure offer for a service. So I ended up just kind of leaving and going on my way onto something else. Now here, I actually try I guess we call it wormhole space, or probably anywhere in space really, like a log off trap, where actually going to this site, I really wanted this 46 million ISK payout. And so I got into the system, I go into the ESS, and the guy jumps in a Gila, and I cannot fight a Gila. You know, even if a T1 stabber, even if you did fully fit it, there's no way you're taking on a Gila one-on-one. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do is find a safe spot, log off for a few minutes, because I needed to take a break anyway. So I came back 20 minutes later, just hoping he either just moves on or he logs off himself and just kind of forgets about this ESS. But sure enough, he just contests me again, and I ended up just starting burning out as well. So there's a couple different tricks you can do in order to kind of hack these ESSs as well. So I tried the log off trap, that didn't work. And again, this is me hacking again. And this is kind of just goes to show too, you don't have to just run just because there's one person in local. This actually happened 2 or 3 times where there's someone in local and they just let me take it, either because they weren't paying attention, or they just felt like they couldn't stop me, because I actually did name my stabber a Loki. I just named it as Weaselly Eventon's Loki. So maybe they're like, oh, I can't fight a Loki, I'm not going to do it. That's all it takes. So there's a lot of trickery and kind of like mentality stuff going on here. And again, in order to actually get paid, you need to actually sell these ESS, ISK, banknotes, whatever you want to call it, to Concord stations. I typically go to the ones in high sec. I do think there are some in low sec as well, but whichever is the closest, safest Concord station to you is usually the best place in order to sell these ISK notes. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And I actually learned a lot of great stuff doing this. I had a lot of fun actually playing the mouse occasionally, sometimes always being the cat. It's nice and fun, but being able to just, I learned a lot of different regions of nullsec. I chatted up with a lot of different nullsec people. Surprisingly, nullsec does actually have humans out there. So that was a bit of fun too as well. So I would give this a try. And most of the time, all you have to do is hack 1 or 2 of these sites and you pay off your stabber, and then anything beyond that, it's just profit and a lot of fun, and just a different play style to actually do something. And it's actually pretty AFK friendly, since a lot of the time you're just warping or waiting in the bubble for the ISK payout to happen, and you can move on. And it's pretty safe too, especially since you are running an overpropped stabber, you do have a cloak, you do have filaments, you have a scanner probe in order to find your way out. If you do forget to bring filaments or anything like that, you can find wormholes, things like that. So yeah. And again, I'm actually giving away a Vedmak scope syndication skin in this video. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this video. If you guys are going to be running some of these ESS thieving sites, let me know down in the comments below. Or if you guys do have suggestions for the fits, or if you want to run a different ship for these ESS sites, let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys take care and you fly safe.